There are a couple of very cool sets out there. There are some souvenir sets from the 1980s, 1982 and 1983 in particular. And the only way to get those was to go directly to the mint and to the souvenir shop in 1982 and 1983 and buy them directly from the souvenir shop at that specific mint. That would be at the Denver or at the Philadelphia mint. Now those would include a bronze medal and just one coin of each denomination, whereas your normal mint sets would include 10 coins in them. So those 10 coins would be a penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and half, two from each, one from the Philly, one from the Denver. However, those don't exist for 1982 and 1983. So keep your eye out for 1982 and 1983 quarters. When you're looking at the PCGS price guide, you can see that there aren't any from those two particular years that are graded at Mint State 68. So if you find one that's graded Mint State 68, that could really put it over the top and you could have hit a huge home run. Mm-hmm. However, just to give you fair warning, finding a Mint State 68 would be very hard. Unless you're going through someone's collection of uncirculated coins. Maybe like grandma has some uncirculated coins that have been sitting away since 1982. If you can look through those, you really hit the jackpot. Some other things worth noting when looking at Washington quarters, there aren't any cool designations like there are with some of the other coins out there. For instance, with the penny, there is the RD, RB, and RN designation. So there's red, brown, and brown designation. With Washington quarter, that doesn't exist. With the nickel, there's the full steps designation. That doesn't exist with the Washington quarter. And with the dime, there is the full bands designation. That doesn't exist with Washington quarter either. These are just kind of the workhorse coins that get tossed around quite a lot. They don't have anything too fine as far as detail, like those bands or the steps or the cool coloring that you would see in a penny. Now there are just three coins that are mentioned in the Cherry Picker's Guide regarding the 1980s Washington quarters. Those are 1981 S proof coin, which has a Type 2 mint mark, 1982 S double die obverse, and 1989 repunched mint mark. Now, what's interesting regarding the 1980s Washington quarters, which I kind of pointed this out at the beginning of the video, that there are still a lot of varieties in the 1980s regarding different mint marks. So as I said earlier, I've got a 1985 and a 1984, and the mint marks on them are just drastically different as far as shape and size. Now I've tried to understand the mint mark process many times, but haven't really gotten a thorough, complex understanding of it. But my understanding is that around the 1980s sometime, they switched over from a multi-hub process to a single squeeze hubbing process that helped kind of improve the dies and the mint marks on the coins. And then in 1990 and 1991, the mint began applying the mint mark directly on the master die for circulation coins. So if you have a more a more modern coin made after 1991, you probably won't see any variety in the mint marks. You certainly won't see any variety like this right here, where the master die is the same on both of these coins, but the mint mark varies quite drastically. Alright, that's kind of all the general information I've got for you today. In this video, we talked about the 1982 and 1983 United States quarters, in particular the fact that there were no mint sets released in those 2 years. We talked about the three different era coins that are mentioned in the Cherry Picker's Guide, and we talked about kind of just the Washington quarters in general. So hopefully you enjoyed it. There aren't too many rare Washington quarters out there in the 1980s, so this could just be a video for a heads up not to look too hard for these, unless you do find